You know, friends, when the quiz kids found out who our guest was going to be, they were so eager to have him work on them that they could hardly wait. And I say work on him because we've had many guest quizmasters on our program during the last 10 years, but we've never had one like this gentleman. He's a hypnotist. That's right. And so with the permission of their parents, of course, he's going to try and hypnotize the quiz kids. And the kids are eager, and I am too. So, children, I want you to meet the world-famous hypnotist and mental wizard, Dr. Franz Polgar. Come right on in, Dr. Polgar. Awfully happy to have you here in our classroom.
Good evening, Mr. Cully.
Won't you sit down?
And good evening, kids.
And these are the amazing quiz kids, lovable quiz kids. By the way, you have your questions with you.
Oh, yes, I have some very special ones tonight.
Oh, you have?
Oh, yes.
Good for you. Well, I'll tell you, before we start in, I'd like to ask you a question myself. Do you have any children?
Yes, I have 2 children.
Oh, you have?
Yes.
Fine.
Little boy, he's 5 years old.
What's his name?
Julian.
Julian?
Julian Richard.
Well.
And the little girl, she has a Hungarian name, Risa.
Risa?
Risa.
Very
She's 3 years old.
Very unusual name. Very lovely name,
I hope
too.
you like it.
You suppose they're watching Daddy this evening?
Well, I hope so.
Well, I hope so, too. I'll tell you, before we really get started here, would you mind if the quiz kids ask you some questions on hypnotism?
Oh, not at all.
All right.
In fact, I will be very glad.
Well, all right. Will you call
Well, if you have any questions about hypnotism, just raise your hand. Any question at all. Evidently. Well, all right, I'll take you one after the other. Let's see, Lonnie.
Well,
What is your question?
well, this year the St. Louis Browns hired a hypnotist to try to make their ball players think they were better ball players than they really were, and it didn't work too well. I was wondering if that thing could possibly work. Is there any grounds by which you could
Well,
say that it
I
could
really
work?
thought that you were asking me whether hypnosis would work. I said, well, look at the chart where the, the team is. But it is quite possible. Of course, you cannot perform miracles, but I can improve upon existing powers. And now let's see the next question. Sally Ann?
Well, I would like to know, Dr. Polgar, if when you hypnotize somebody, if you can make them do things that they wouldn't naturally do.
Would not naturally. Not could not, would not. Well, this is really a controversial question. Some psychologists believe that a person cannot be forced to do anything against his morals or habits. But I think that a person might be forced. In other words, really and sincerely, hypnosis may be abused. It is no exception. Anything may be abused. And again, hypnosis could be also. But I assure you, I will not try to do anything with you which you would not do otherwise. And I think Joel would be next.
If you hypnotize a person and give him some instructions while he's under hypnosis, for how long a period would he follow those instructions?
Well, I think you're talking about post-hypnotic suggestion. Is that right, Joel?
Yes,
In other words, when I hypnotize you now, I will tell you now tomorrow, 12 o'clock, you go to City Hall, and in front of it, we'll try to sell defense bonds. You are awake and normal just as ever, and still, exactly 12 o'clock you will do it, whatever I tell you. These we call post-hypnotic suggestions. Now, they may last for a few minutes, few hours, weeks, or even forever. All right, Catherine.
Could
I'll take yours.
you hypnotize an animal, say like a cat or a dog?
Well, frankly, an animal cannot be hypnotized. I can paralyze an animal, but I can fascinate an animal. Like, hen is put on a chalk mark. Have you seen that? And becomes paralyzed, a hen?
No.
Or the Seminole Indians can paralyze an alligator. When they catch him, they stroke him on his side and he would become paralyzed. But that is really not hypnosis. And Melvin, what is your question?
Well, I heard of the old joke that sometimes a hypnotist is putting a person to sleep, but then he forgets how to wake them up again. I know that isn't true, but I would like to know some of your experience.
Well, I tell you, well, if I hypnotize someone, if I hypnotize you, don't worry, I will not forget it. You know, I'm a memory expert too. I cannot afford Melvin to forget those things.
Okay.
There's really no danger about hypnosis at all.
I'm sure that Dr. Polgar appreciates your curiosity, but we have some other things we want to do. Doctor, would you like to take over from now on?
Oh, yes,
All
I
right.
will be glad to.
Fine.
Now, here we have some books and something else. Now, I'm going to give you one of these books. This is yours, Melvin, and Kathleen, would you kindly open it on page 27, rather, 27. And there's a little message, something, just... Yes, this is it, 27, here it is. All right. Now, friends, would you kindly read that little message, whatever is on it? I must admit, it is not part of a book. It's a special insertion. I put it in. It never really fails to interest my friends. Read every word of it. Really, I don't have to look at you particularly. And I am sure that this little message for you will work. At least it hasn't failed so far. Yes, it's quite interesting. I will be glad to explain it to you, Mr. Kelly. Well, of course, these people are children hypnotized now. They actually became hypnotized, and perhaps you ask me why and what put them to sleep. I inserted a special message containing suggestions about falling asleep. The only thing is, Melvin, thanks very much, Melvin. You join Mr. Kelly over there, will you please?
Come on over here and sit with me.
Now, when a person is hypnotized, he will not remember anything afterwards. And furthermore, he will do almost anything I tell them to do. Now, let's try a few experiments. I'm talking to you all now. Please listen to me. Naturally, afterwards, when I will awaken, you feel fine, refreshed, and invigorated. You will be more alert than ever. Joel, I'm talking to you now. When we shall come to any questions about mathematics, naturally you will be able to answer it. However, and whenever I will ask you how much 5 and 5 is, you will always say it is 12. 5 and 5 is 12. 5 and 5 is 12. And one more thing, when I will shake your right hands, that's how I hypnotize people too, you are going to fall asleep. When I will awaken, you feel fine, refreshed, smiling. Joel, 5 is 12. And now, everybody, wake up and smile. Kathleen, how are you? How are you, Lonnie? In the meantime, would you like to read this little... I have one more special book for you.
No, thanks. Not right now.
However, let's go into the schoolwork now. First, about mathematics. Now, this is not so simple. What is the cube root of the perfect cube 571,787? You know it already?
Better be 83.
Well, it's absolutely correct. I wish I could do this as fast as you do. Now, this is not as complicated. How much is 5 and 5? Who knows that? 5 and 5. Do you know it, Melvin, too? Now, let's see Joel first.
12.
Well, I don't... what do you think? 5 and 5.
When I learned it was 12.
5 and 5.
That's 10.
And what do you think? And you know how much 5 and 5?
10, yes.
And what did you say?
12.
I don't know. Let's try something else. We'll investigate this later on. What is the square of 89? What is the square of 89? Well?
Well, that would be, let's see, 90...
The square of 89.
7921.
7920, but it's absolutely correct. And how much is 5 and 5 again?
12.
What do you say?
12.
5 and 5?
Yeah.
Oh, well, probably you are right. Well, let's deviate a little bit from mathematics now. And How about a little trip in the field of music? Now, who can play music?
Lonnie plays very well.
Lonnie?
Yes.
Well, let's go to the piano, Lonnie. Just sit down. Can you play without music?
Yes.
Would you play Chopin's Fantasy Impromptu, provided if you know it?
Yes.
You know it?
Yeah.
All
I know
right.
a little bit of it. I
All right, go
played it
ahead.
a long time ago.
Go ahead. It's a lovely melody. Oh, thank you. Just a moment. I want to thank you this time, really. Especially, I want to thank you for your splendid cooperation. Now, Lonnie, listen to me. When I will awaken you next time, naturally you can play it again, beautiful. But when I touch my tie, as a matter of fact, as long as I touch my tie, you can play only with this one finger. You play the melody with one finger, as long as I touch my tie. Wake up. Oh, pardon me. You can just continue if you will, or start again. So I really like that melody. Beautiful melody. What's wrong? Well, thanks ever so much, Lon. It's really very lovely. Let's go back to our seats now.
Dr. Polgar, I just want to say that this hypnotism is quite the thing. Do you suppose there's any chance that I might be able to do this?
Well, I don't know. Well, why don't you try it?
You don't mind?
Oh, not at all.
Not at all, eh?
No, not at all. Go
Oh,
ahead.
boy. Let's see now. Who will I try this out on?
I hope not on me.
Oh, no. I've got... oh, I know. I'll try it out on our announcer, Franklin Ferguson. Frank, come here a minute, will you?
Joe?
Fine.
All right.
Frank, will you stand right here?
Where, along about here somewhere?
Just about there. And I want you to look me straight in the eye.
Straight in the eye, huh?
Yeah. Oh, this is going to be fine. Joe Polgar, they call me. All right, now, Frank, look me right straight in the eye now. Abracadabra, focus, pocus. Now, Frank, I want you to tell the people looking in not to buy a package of Alka-Seltzer.
You should not buy a package of Alka-Seltzer. No, it's wise to buy 2 packages of Alka-Seltzer. You see, Alka-Seltzer, when you find out how good it is, you'll want to have a package at home and you'll want to have a package where you work. And Alka-Seltzer is fast relief for acid indigestion, for headache, and for cold discomfort. So it's wise to have it on hand all the time. Ask your druggist for 2 packages. It's good advice, and if you heed it, you'll have Alka-Seltzer when you need it.